Vinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Start the class with two very important questions that Savita and Buddha asked at the end. I don't know if they remember it or not, but I do. Okay. So the question of Savita was, I can understand that awareness is the independent reality, okay, which of all the living beings means what we say sentient beings, right? So awareness is there for people who are able to think, but think like the things like table, the mountain, they don't have the capacity to think and all. So how do I then know that awareness or consciousness is the independent reality upon which even the insentient things depend? Was that your question?
Yeah.
Yes?
Insentient and also non-living.
Yeah, non-living is called insentient. Non-living means insentient. Exactly. Right? Non-living, that is. Yeah. So, Rashna gave an absolutely right reply. And she also gave the right reason, by the way. Yeah, both. Not only she gave the right reply, but she gave the right reason. So that means, but now I will explain. She's released from the responsibility because she's done a good job.
Basically, Neema, the question is that they don't have a causal body, right?
Okay, now let me explain.
It's different? Okay, sorry.
Yeah. It's very easy to understand, right, that whenever there is a living being, then who's thinking, then consciousness is something which is what? The independent reality which makes what? My intelligence what it is. Okay? Because you can't conceive of intelligence without the precondition of consciousness. Okay? So therefore she says that I understand, but now here in this, I don't find any, it's not a living being. So how do I say that this is something which has the reality as, right, the independent reality of this table is also consciousness? That is the question, right? Now, what we saw is that this table, which seems like what we call inert, right? Inert means no life, right? Is itself is mithya, we saw, okay, and we went on reducing it, and till where did we reduce it? Particles. And after that, what did we come to? Exactly. We came to all knowledge, and what is the relationship between awareness and all knowledge? Exactly. All knowledge is dependent on that awareness. So you can think that awareness or consciousness is not here, okay, but it is because everything, all that is here is one all knowledge, okay, and that is divided, it is kind of appearing as both living and non-living being. What is the difference between living and non-living being? Why is it that I'm able to get up and go and the table doesn't say that I'm fed up now, I need a break and I need to go out? Okay? What is the difference? The difference is the presence or absence of Sukshma Sharira, subtle body. Okay? And this is why, because when the death occurs, what happens? The physical body is very much like that, but it becomes like a table, unable to respond, unable to emote, unable to breathe, unable to engage in the world. What has happened? The subtle body is no longer there, it is gone, right? And therefore, it is what we call, it becomes inert, it becomes insentient. Okay? So therefore, what is the difference between living and non-living being is the presence or absence of Sukshma Sharira, the subtle. Okay? But from the standpoint of all knowledge, what? Both require all knowledge for it to manifest. Very easy example, in your own dream, your awareness creates what? Characters who are what? Interacting with the world. And your awareness also creates mountains, oceans, rocks, rivers, which are what? Insentient. But they both, the so-called characters in your dream and the mountains and rivers in your dream, they both come from what? One awareness, which is a conscious being. So here also, we saw that when we made the chart, please understand all the implications of the chart. This is where you actually begin to understand the implications of what we are saying, what? More and more and more. What did we say? The entire physical, which is Virat, is collapsed into what? All knowledge. Okay? And this awareness is the truth of this all knowledge. So in this manifest universe, you will find two types of forms. One is only physical and the other is what? Physical along with subtle. Physical along with subtle is what we call sentient or living beings. And the physical without subtle you call non-living or insentient beings. Okay? But behind both of them there is what we call all knowledge, and that's exactly what Prashna answered. Perfect answer. And wherever there is all knowledge, there is consciousness, which is the ultimate independent reality. Okay? So therefore, you can say that in everything, right, consciousness is there. What is different is presence or absence of subtle. Right? Something makes, looks like living consciousness, right? Where you can appreciate the consciousness, something seems like inert. And this is something which is very beautiful, because if you put it differently, okay, putting it differently is something which is very, very important. Because there was this American author, David Rico, he says, you know, most of us are in the present day, we are all depressed and we feel like, you know, isolated and all, because we think that we are living among dead universe, right? I think that the mountains are dead. I think that the rivers are dead. They are just atoms. They are nothing. Okay? But I take away what? The presence of all knowledge, which makes them what they are. If I begin to look at the all knowledge which makes them what they are, I will be in awe. Because look at how this all knowledge is organized, right? Forms within forms, within forms, within forms, to make that given physical form and given it a given function. Okay? So therefore, even though the sun is a physical globe, it is not able to walk around and do, but it still has a function, a very important function. So there is a subtle there in form of all knowledge, making the sun what it is and perfect. It's not just hydrogen and helium, it is this all knowledge which is arranging the helium, it is arranging the conversion of helium into hydrogen, which then performs so many different functions with reference to my living on earth. That whole subtle, which is all knowledge, is very much present there. Okay? And this is what I was talking about as Vedic culture. Okay? In every physical form, there is a presence of all knowledge, and whenever you do worship to that physical form, you are not doing worship to the physical form, you are worshipping what? The all knowledge, which is there, which makes that physical form what it is. Ishvara is everywhere means you have to understand all the implications. Otherwise your mind understands one part and doesn't understand the other part. So nothing is held in your mind as a coherent and multifaceted understanding of this statement. That's why you need to dwell on it, to understand all aspects of it. Okay? So therefore, we can say that the awareness is present everywhere, in sentient and insentient beings. Through what? Why? Because there is all knowledge behind it. And awareness is the truth of all knowledge. We saw the relationship between awareness and all knowledge, right? All knowledge, the precondition for any knowledge is awareness or consciousness. Without consciousness, there is no knowledge, right? But consciousness does not require any specific type of knowledge, whether it is a little knowledge or all knowledge, right? So, this is the answer to Savita's question. Uddhav's question is even more intricate.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Consciousness does not require any precondition to be there for knowledge. It's anywhere.
Exactly. It's the ultimate independent reality. Everything else has a dependent reality. Okay? So that means they are all mithya. Mithya means that it's not that they are not there, but they don't have independent existence. The ultimate independent existence is Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam, Brahma. Otherwise, they are all there from a given standpoint, but they all have dependent existence.
What's the fourth word you said? Satyam, Jnanam,
Anantam,
and then
Brahma. Brahma, I think in the first class I explained, Brahman comes from the root big, if you remember that. Okay? But here it is not an adjective to a noun, it is a noun itself, so it means limitlessly big. If you remember the first class. This is where I say you need to be able to, Vedanta, you need to hold different things. Right? Otherwise what happens is you understand everything all separate in parts and everything, but you have no understanding of the coherent vision. How does it all fit in place to create a very coherent vision? And that takes a lot of time. Don't think it is just one 10-day retreat and you know it all. Not at all. It requires years and years of very intricate dwelling into it before one mind is able to hold the entire vision in its entirety without any error, without any vagueness, with all the proper connections, with all the implications. That process is not a joke. Please don't make it simplistic. Because we all love this romantic idea of, oh, one person was sitting under the tree and all of a sudden it clicked and the person was enlightened. These are ridiculous ideas. So therefore, it requires a mind which is intricate. It's able to see the whole thing. Okay. Then, the second question of Uddhav was even more intricate. Okay. Now, I don't know what he was asking, but from what I understood, right, is that what he's saying is that then if awareness is the ultimate reality, then that should be the material cause. Right? And what he's saying is absolutely right. Because up to now, what did I tell you was the material cause of the universe?
Knowledge.
Excellent. All knowledge. Who said that? Okay. Excellent. Right? So that means up to now I have been talking about all knowledge as the material cause of the universe. Now Uddhav says that if awareness is the final reality, then that should be the material cause. Brilliant. And that is true. Right? It is true, and this is why we talk about two different material cause. In Sanskrit, it is called Upadana Karanam. Upadana Karanam means material cause. Okay? The Upadana Karanam are material causes are of two types.
Material causes are also.
Are of two types. I'm explaining. Listen. Right? Material causes are of two types. One is what we call Parinami Upadana Karanam, and the other is Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Okay? Write down. Because you will now need your notes in the future. Okay? What is Parinami Upadana Karanam? The material cause which itself undergoes a transformation to become the effect. Example, milk is the material cause for yogurt, right? But the milk undergoes transformation to become yogurt. So in the yogurt, milk is there, but it is modified. You don't, when the yogurt is made, you don't find milk in its original form. Right? So this is what we call parinami. Parinami means that the cause, which is the milk, undergoes a change to become the effect.
So is wood and table the same example?
The wood and table is not the same example.
Because wood is remained wood.
Wood is
Exactly.
remained
Another
wood.
form.
Exactly.
This is not in that form anymore.
Exactly. So, perfect, Shona. So there is this particular, there is a transformation of what? Milk, and in the effect you find the milk in a modified form. And that is what we call Parinami Upadana Karanam. There is what we call Vivarta Upadana Karanam, and that is what, as Shona is very rightly saying, okay, in order to become the table, the wood that has not undergone, it has not transformed itself. Right now, while the table is appearing, the effect is appearing, the cause, right, in effect, which is yogurt, milk is not there anymore. Milk has already undergone a change. In this effect, the cause is what? It has not undergone any change. This is what we call Vivarta Upadana Karanam. Difficult?
And so the,
Names you need because the realities are intricate. You need
so
to.
in the ocean analogy, the water was river.
Exactly.
Yes.
Excellent. What he's saying in an ocean reality, very, very good. Right? In the ocean wave, right, there is one cause which is the water, which he's saying is Vivarta Upadana Karana. The water always remains H2O. It doesn't undergo any transformation to either become the ocean or become the wave. It appears as both without undergoing any change intrinsically. Okay? So the water, as Buddha says, is Vivarta Upadana Karana. Okay? Now, what is Parinami? Ocean is what? Is the cause of all the waves, right? But it's what? Constantly undergoing change or not? Some waves are gone, new waves are coming, right? So it is Upadana Karanam for all the waves. But what kind of Upadana Karanam it is? The waves which were 10 minutes ago are gone, new waves have emerged, so means it's changing or not changing? It is changing. So what kind of Upadana Karanam it is? Parinami Upadana Karanam. Right? Because that material cause itself is undergoing change. Okay? This all knowledge and all power, now come back. First understand with reference to ocean. The entire ocean and all the waves have two kind of material causes. From one standpoint you can say the material cause for every wave which constitutes ocean is ocean. Okay. Ocean is which material cause? Parinami Upadana Karana. Because the ocean entity, ocean is not constant. Every wave comes from the ocean, but the ocean itself is what? Constantly undergoing change. Because the waves which were in the past have gone. The new waves have emerged, and what? In the future, other waves will come. There is a constant change which is taking place. There is no fixed static entity called the ocean.
So what's the distinction here? I thought Parinami was on this transformation, which is different than change.
Yeah. So transformation means, you're right, it is similar idea, right? So therefore, because what constitutes this ocean are different waves. And the waves themselves are undergoing change. So the ocean is also, you see the ocean, but what constitutes ocean is constantly undergoing change too.
Actually, when we think of milk and yogurt, the
Yes.
form is totally changed.
Form is totally different. Yes, exactly. But what is saying is that there is some change. What we are actually highlighting is that there is a change, right? The cause, at the level of the cause to become that effect. So that means what? The ocean that we see, the ocean, is not always the same waves in that sense.
But see, you take water from first wave or nth wave, it is going to be the same.
What I am saying is, the ocean as an entity, please understand, you are going back to water. Water is Vivarta Upadana Karana. That is true. Okay? But the forms are changing, please understand. The waves are changing, the shapes are changing. There are differences, right? The waves which were in the past are what? Not, there was this whole change of what? Manifest, unmanifest, manifest, unmanifest within the ocean.
Okay, the waves change in their strength.
Exactly. And they go away. When one wave reaches the shore, it disappears. And a new wave emerges. Okay? So the ocean as an entity is what we call what? the ocean as an entity is undergoing change. That is, even though you see ocean, it doesn't constitute of the same waves before, which are what? Later. It is changing, right? So this is what we call that because it is changing, the entity itself undergoes transformation. Because what constitutes the ocean is changing all the time, right? One wave which was unmanifest at one given point in time becomes manifest. What is manifest becomes unmanifest. Okay? So there is a constant change that is taking place within the entity ocean. Okay? But from the standpoint of water, is there any change taking place? Not at all. As she says, when I take water from one wave and water from the other wave, the water is not undergone any change. Okay? So therefore, when we say all now that we have understood, now let's transpose it to all knowledge and awareness. Okay? All awareness is all knowledge is in form of what? All what? All the laws, right? And all entities which are governed by the laws. So the minute you make an action, what? The all knowledge exactly changes, rearranges the universe to incorporate your action. The minute I act, what does all knowledge do? It changes to what? Create another cause, another effect. So that means at the level of all knowledge, it is what we call parinami upadana karana. It's changing all the time, recreating universe in slight different what? Measures, constantly reproducing universe slightly differently. What is unmanifest? What? 1 second ago becomes manifest now. What is manifest now becomes unmanifest 1 second ago. Whether you look at it in terms of time, whether you look at it in terms of the cells, in everything, there are constant changes taking place. Constant changes taking place. Because the objects are connected to the laws and the interactions produce changes. That's why we call the entire universe is constantly undergoing change. Constantly undergoing change means it is not remaining exactly the same. It is transforming, but the transformation is so subtle and so minute that from 1 second to the other it is not possible for human eye to actually observe those changes. But it is taking place. Okay? So Ishvara is constantly reorganizing the universe. Constantly. From manifest to unmanifest, all the changes taking place for each form at every given point in time.
I just want to ask one question. You gave that idea of milk to yogurt.
Yes.
So the yogurt has that underlying milk in it. Is it something like that or no?
Yes, exactly. It has, exactly. But here we are...
It's a change.
Exactly. So here what we are saying is that this so-called all knowledge and all power, you think is static. We are not, it is changing all the time because the all knowledge and all power is making all forms what they are. It is making all the laws what they are. The laws interact with what? The forms, and they reproduce a different universe. Please understand that. That's why what was 100 years ago is not what is here now. The universe, the term remains the same. But what constitutes the universe has undergone transformation.
When you say that it's constantly rearranging, it's because everything is now going as per the law that it was predetermined to, or?
No. See, see, the laws are there. For example, gravity. Okay, laws of gravity are there. But when I'm using my free will to drop this pen, what happens?
Law of gravity operates.
Exactly. Law of gravity now operates. It's always there.
And that's a change.
And that's a change. You see that? And then if it operates, and if I drop a very heavy stone, then it not only changes what? That now it is operating, but it also has an impact where?
So it's like the ripple effect of anything.
Then it hurts my what? Thigh. Okay? So that means before also law of gravity there.
What's the subtle?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a change. Exactly. This is a very, very important point. You must understand this point.
So what does it keep rearranging then?
The all knowledge is constantly, because the whole universe is nothing but what we saw. When we draw this beautiful chart, we collapsed everything into what? Bring back everything that you have learned. Okay? We collapsed everything into all knowledge. This all knowledge, right, constantly rearranges what? Sukshma and Sthula, according to what? The laws. Constantly the changes are taking place. Okay. So the laws of gravity, which are potential, which are there, when I use my free will, can you say that before I use my free will, the potential, the gravity was not there? Right. Obviously it was there. But it was not hurting what? My thigh. What is the difference between law of gravity hurting my thigh and not hurting my thigh? Answer me.
Your action.
Exactly. Exactly. My action. So that means the minute I introduce one variable in form of my action, what happens?
And it has the potential to create a whole other bunch.
Other ripple,
Like a
exactly.
billiards table that you're constantly hitting balls.
Constantly, absolutely. So there is a constant change, because you're not just acting once in a day, you're constantly acting. And everybody else is also constantly acting. So every action of ours makes a slight adjustment to the universe, but it is not what? Available to my eyes. But over a period, it is very visible. This is why we can say Stone Age was very different. The universe is universe, but Stone Age was very different from what? This 21st century. What?
There's so many actions being performed.
Exactly. And all the things are changing, constantly under flux. So Iswara, who is actually bringing about those changes from Stone Age to 21st century? Who? Iswara. Iswara is manifesting differently.
Which is why they'll say the power of mass consciousness in a certain direction can change the outcomes of the entire.
Absolutely, right? Because constantly things are changing according to your actions. Constantly. But the changes become invisible in the short run, but they become very visible in the long run. So there is a transformation. You think that in the yogurt and think the transformation is very, very immediately conceivable. Okay? Here it is over a long period of time. It's equally. It's transforming.
Can I ask something that
Yes.
is making can I say that my free will comes from the same all knowledge?
Exactly. Absolutely. Absolutely. Who has programmed your brain in a way that it has a choice? Who has? Have you? Have I? No. Right? All knowledge is what? The neurons, the capacity of neurons to organize themselves, along with what Surya was talking about, all the electric connections and all the chemicals, who's arranging it all so that you can use your free will. That is what we call all knowledge. It's right there.
But then why at
Yes.
times we use our free will for good things?
That's it was what we call free will. Otherwise, we will not call it free will. Free will means you are given the capacity, as Neeru was saying, to do it, not to do it, and to do it differently. That is what we call free will. That is given as what? That is an arrangement of all knowledge. But the minute you use your free will to drop it, what? You are changing the universe in some way.
So, can I just bring this all together and make sense? So, when you use your free will, so there are laws that operate in the universe, and they operate so that it works correctly. If you use your free will to do something wrong, or something that has an adverse effect against the law that governs it, then there's a ripple effect which causes, I'm saying in no
Disturbance.
wrong, disturbances.
Yes.
And those disturbances, as they manifest more and more and more, then comes a need for an avatar to bring about that change and
Put it back in
does
track.
all come-
Yes, it is all. It all comes
so it
true.
all comes from
Yes.
our actions with every being, everything, respect to
Everything. Yes.
understanding that this is how the universe should function.
Exactly.
And we're going against this law and against
Excellent.
emotionally, physically,
Everywhere. In every way. Okay? Excellent, Shona. Wonderful. What she has learned in Bhagavad Gita class, now she is applying to this. This is a wonderful way to understand one given concept in its totality. Lovely. What she is saying is absolutely right. She is bringing this so-called thing of avatara. Okay? How come this so-called imbalance is created, which requires an avatara to fix it? Right? Because we, through our actions, have changed the constitution of the universe to such an extent that everything has become so distorted. Right? So the laws have a correcting mechanism where they have to come back and put things in place. Okay? So this is what you are saying, and that's why we are saying it's constantly undergoing change. Because distortions can increase, that is what, constant change, from little to ripple effect, they multiply, they become too big, then what, again correction, again change, again we make it all mess and again change, right? So constant change is taking place in what we call one entity, which is universe. There is a constant change. So this is why this all knowledge is what we call parinami upadana karika. It undergoes change. Iswara manifests as the universe, but it's not a constant universe.
A static universe.
It's not a static universe. Right? That so-called entity called universe itself undergoes transformation. Those transformations are not visible maybe from one minute to the other. It seems like it's the same universe. But nothing in the universe is same, because time t1 is different from time t2. The object O1 in time t1 is different from object 1 in time t2. Not only time is changing, the objects are changing. The whole thing is what Iswara, all knowledge manifesting constantly, what? In the physical forms which are constantly changing, and what? The subtle forms which are constantly changing, and the causes which are constantly created, as Shona is saying. Constantly new causes are created through our actions, which then show their what? Effect on physical and subtle. You see how the whole cycle is? The causal is changing, because Neeru that day she said there is no such thing called a constant sanchita karma. Sanchita karma itself, what constitutes sanchita karma, is changing all the time. You are expending some and you are acquiring new. Okay? So the changes are not, and those causal changes manifest as what? Different, both at physical and subtle levels.
So what we experience?
What we experience. It all just fits in perfectly. Things cannot be any other way. In a way that any way that you look at it, bring in anything that you have learned, bring in without what you have learned. See this, it fits in perfectly.
It is only right to say that the first awareness goes by this rebirth because it cannot change. If it could change, then it is not a changing entity at all.
Excellent. So now he is always one step forward. So you're right. Because we are talking about our knowledge and he's already talking about awareness. But and what he says is right also. Okay? So now we have understood how this Iswara, which is all knowledge and all power, is what? Parinami Upadana Karika. It is undergoing change at all three levels. The causal, and because there are causal level changes, they manifest as what? Physical and subtle level changes.
Just one question. So we say time, but it's really, we talk about time doing the changes.
Exactly. Even the time changes.
It's clearer. You know what I mean? We say time changes this, changes that.
Yeah,
So
but
giving
even
us
the time
more
changes.
wider sort of, yes.
Even the time
We
changes.
think of it in a very small way earlier.
Yes, exactly.
Now it's sort of
Exactly. And this is exactly, I think what you are referring to, Rashna, is almost a change from Newtonian physics to Einstein physics. Relativity of time and space. Okay? The whole Newtonian physics was based on time and space is constant, absolute, within which all the objects change. Okay? When Einstein discovered that in fact the time and space itself is relative, he himself was shocked. He made a statement that, my God, the earth on which I am standing itself is beginning to shake. Okay? And I recently saw a play. The name of the play is Einstein. Okay? And it is played by Nasruddin Shah, who's a very good artist, right? And he was playing Einstein and he was explaining some of his own theories, like Einstein's theories. And he was also talking about his personal life and all that. But what he was in that play, what really struck me is, he says, what does it mean that the time and space is relative? What does it mean? So he gave a few examples. One of the example is that let's say you are standing here, okay, and three things are dropping. Okay? And you are standing here right in front of them, and for you, all three are dropping at exactly the same time. Okay? Now imagine the same act is happening, but you are traveling, you are not standing here, but you are traveling this way. For the person who is traveling this way, this is dropping first, that one is dropping second, and that one is dropping third. And if you are traveling this way, for that person, this one is dropping first, this one is dropping second, and that one is dropping third. The same event, depending upon in which direction you are traveling or whether you are static. Relativity of time. The second example he gave was something even more interesting, because what he said, in Newtonian physics, if you postulate that no object will exist in the universe, okay, then you will have the universe which is with only time and space. That means what we call time and space are absolute. Okay? But in Einstein physics, if the objects disappear, the time and space also disappears. And this is exactly what we say as unmanifest. In unmanifest, all knowledge is there, what? Without what? Time, physical time, space or any object. When we say the all knowledge, it manifests as creation, what comes? Time, space and every object.
Now we know theory of relativity, interesting.
Yeah, and how it fits into Vedanta absolutely perfectly. Okay, so this is something which is what you need to know, that the parinami upadana karanam is Iswara. Constantly what? From unmanifest, completely unmanifest to manifest, and within that manifest what? Constant change from manifest to unmanifest. Both what? Not only the objects but even the time and space constantly changing. Nothing is constant. So now you need to then ask the second question. Okay? If all knowledge and all power itself has a dependent reality, so wherever dependent reality is what? It's mithya. Dependent reality means wherever there is mithya, there is satyam there or not? It has to be. The very definition of mithya is it is dependent. Then the question comes, dependent upon what? Okay? So that means if this table has a dependent reality on wood, the wood is here or not? Is there. Right? So that means now if all knowledge and all power has a dependent reality on that awareness, is awareness there or not? Wherever there is all knowledge? Yes. Okay. But has awareness undergone any change to become the universe? No. So what kind of upadana karanam is awareness? Vivarta upadana karanam. Simple example. Okay. In your dream, you use your awareness and you create mountain, river, characters, all the interactions are going on. You have pleasures, pains, nightmares, misery, elation, everything is going on. Has your awareness undergone an ounce of change to become all these different characters and all the different experiences that are what? Gained through these interactions? Okay. Does it undergo your awareness? Does it undergo any change? If it underwent any change, what happens is when you wake up, you'll be carrying what? The mountain that you thought of in the dream, or the characters that you thought of in the dream. Why? Becoming all this from the standpoint of the awareness, there is no change whatsoever. The all knowledge is undergoing change, like the ocean as an entity seems like an ocean which is one constant, but there are so many changes which are taking place within ocean because waves are changing, right? When tsunami comes, what? The rising of that wave is so much more than the normal. All these things, what you call one entity ocean, so many changes are taking place.
Because of our actions.
Yeah, exactly. Right? But in terms of water, is there any change taking place? No. The water remains the water. Okay? So the water is what we call the Vivarta Upadana Karana. Wherever there is ocean, there is water. without water, there is no possibility of ocean. But water does not undergo any change. The ocean, the entity ocean, is changing all the time. In fact, we live close to the sea. It's amazing when there is full moon. The waves are huge, much bigger than, and sometimes it is like completely calm. So the ocean entity is constantly changing. The moon has its effect. Okay, the seasons have their effect. During monsoons, the waters come till right our compound, right there. It touches the wall of our compound. Okay? In a normal case, it is sometimes so far away, and there is such a huge beach. It's changing constantly. But is water changing? No. Okay, so that means there are two ways of looking at it. One is the ocean entity, which is the cause for all the waves, which itself is changing all the time to create new waves, let go the old waves according to the laws. And then there is water, which is even the truth of the ocean, which does not undergo any change.
It's free.
It is totally free. Okay, so therefore, Upadana Karanam, material cause for the universe, if you see it as Iswara, then it is what? Parinami Upadana Karanam. Iswara is constantly, as Rashna says, is applying laws, right, to change the universe, constantly. Okay? But all these changes that are taking place, and which are manifestation of that same all knowledge, right? They, wherever there is all knowledge, there is awareness. Are they affecting the awareness? Not at all. Awareness is always totally free. It has no attributes. It has no characters. It has no nothing. It is the only independent reality. Everything else. What does everything else mean? Starting, if you take individual, Vishwa, Tejasa and Prajnaha, your individual, physical, subtle and causal body, and at a samashti level, what? Virat, Hiranyagarbha and Ishvara. All these are constantly what? Changing. There is only one unchanging reality, the Chatushpad. Chatushpad is the fourth part of Atma, which is the thing, Saha Vigdeyaha. Where does Upanishad want to take you? To that fourth part, which is who you are, which is totally independent of everything.
So my question, Iswara and Maya, they're together, no?
Okay, this is again a very good question. Okay, we have used two terms, Iswara and Maya. Okay, now there are different ways in which these two terms are used. I will tell you which are the different ways, right? So that you don't get confused. She says, she said like this, but now it is used somewhere else, because they are used in different ways. Okay, so the first way that we use is, okay, now Iswara, when we say Iswara, how would you translate Iswara in English? You will say cause of the universe. Right? So that means it's a relational term. When there is a universe, then you talk about what? The cause of the universe. Okay? Now, before the universe has come, right? It is only a potential. Okay? Can you call it really the cause of the universe? Because the universe has not even come yet. Okay? So you have to have a different name. So that before the manifestation you call it Maya. When there is manifestation, there is universe, then you add one more term, which is what? The cause of the universe, Iswara. Very simple example. Let me give you a very simple example. Okay? The word mother is a relational term. You can't call, if Sarah does not have child right now, you can't call Sarah a mother. Because the child is not yet there. Mother is a relational term. Right? But I can call Shona mother. Right? Because she does have children. Okay? But the minute Sarah has her own children, what will happen? She will become a mother. So Sarah was already there. The potential to be a mother is there. But I can't still call her mother because the child is not yet born. Manifested, exactly. Right? With reference to the manifest universe, you call it the cause of the universe. When it is not even manifest, you can't call it the cause because the universe is not there yet. So that unmanifest is what we call Maya. And when the world is manifest, you call it what? Iswara, which is the cause of the universe.
Maya and awareness.
Okay, so Maya is nothing but all knowledge and all power. Right? Now, that all knowledge and all power, when it manifests as the whole universe, it is same all knowledge and all power, but you give it a different name, Iswara.
So it doesn't have a relation with consciousness and awareness. It's together that it causes.
Wherever there is all knowledge and all power, there is consciousness, which is the independent reality. You cannot have all knowledge and all power without the presence of consciousness. Okay? Before the creation, there is consciousness, there is all knowledge and all power in a potential form. Right? When we say there is a creation, there is a manifestation, the same all knowledge and all power is there, which is manifesting as the physical and subtle forms through the causes. Right? So all knowledge and all power is equally there. Okay? And that which makes all knowledge and all power, which is awareness, is also equally there. And this is why when I make you say that you are not the physical body, that you are not the subtle body, you are not the causal body, you come to this awareness which is very much there, unchanged by all the changes which are taking place, what? In your physical body, in your subtle body, and in the causal. That awareness is given to you as I. If you were not given the awareness as I, there is no way you will understand what that awareness is. That awareness, when I use the word awareness and when I use the word consciousness, all of you understand, even though maybe not totally accurately, that there is awareness, right? Have you ever seen it as an object in your life? You have never seen it as an object and you still know there is awareness. Where is awareness, the presence of awareness, how is it given to you? It is given to you as I am. The presence of awareness is given to you as I am, but that I am, that awareness, due to that veil, where do you mix it up? You mix it up in the body, in the mind, and in the causal. And that error continues for yugas, through cycles of creation, until the time that you remove that veil. Shona, you want to say something?
No, I'm just understanding. Therefore, in our what we are learning is that to unveil it, to know that, it comes back to our actions so that there are not any changes in the laws, so that there are no ripple effects. And that's why we're manifesting over and over till we learn those laws to work them correctly so that we come to.
Exactly, and also expose ourselves to this knowledge which makes us see the reality totally different.
First,
So you do
expose the
both
knowledge
and then also change. Exactly. Till the knowledge is so clear, right, that
in every dealing,
in every dealing,
to work with the laws of the universe.
See, there is a person. Now this person is in coma. Okay. So physical body is present. Some subtle aspects are working. The organs are functioning. Okay. The causal thing is there.
Causal thing
is there. Now, is this person having awareness?
Yes. Awareness never goes. What is happening is the person with the subtle body is partially damaged. What did we see were the functions of subtle body? 19 mukhas.
Yeah.
What are those 19 mukhas?
The
5 sense organs, 5
actions.
organs of actions,
5
4 functions of mind, 5 panchaprana. Right? This is the full subtle body. Now half of it is damaged and half of it is working. Okay? So that means, but wherever there is physical, subtle and causal, it's at every level there is all knowledge. And wherever there is all knowledge, there is awareness. Awareness never is displaced.
Awareness is like power.
No, it is the very truth of right now. Okay, now awareness is
What
it
is
is without, this is exactly, this is what, that's why the only place you can understand the nature of awareness is when it is available to you as I am. Because you can't objectify awareness, you can't see it as an object. If you see it as an object, it just becomes one object within time and space, like table, like chair. You're reducing it to just, we are talking about that awareness, which is the truth of what? The subtle, the causal and the physical. Okay? Now, when you look at yourself, okay, you say, I am. And you say, I am this. Okay? So you say, I'm short. What is this statement that you are making? What is the statement? You have mixed up the I am, your nature with what? The attributes of what? Short is what? Physical body. Okay? So now I'm saying physical body is something that you are making the statement I am short, but actually you are mixed up. There is one I am and you have mixed it up with what? The attributes of physical body. So let it go. You don't let go I am, you let go what?
Physical body.
The attributes of physical body which are imputed on I am. Please understand what we are doing here. Okay, now you give it up. Then you make a statement, I am sad. What are you doing now? You are attributing, right, the characteristic of subtle body into what? This I am. What am I telling you? It's just an object, it comes and goes. You are very much there. So now what are you doing? You are freeing this I am from the attributes of subtle body, right, which you were mixing up before. Then if I say, I am going to be like this when I am 70 years old, what? There are still causes which are yet to come, right? So you're connecting yourself with what? The causal body, okay? Which is manifesting the universe differently at every moment. So when I'm 70, I'm going to retire, I'm going to go to Pune and I'm going to retire. The causes which have not yet manifested, okay, but you plan to manifest in the future. That means it's all there as a potential. This is what we call the causes. Okay? So now this I am is what? Mixed up with what? The causal. Now I am going to say that you know what, whether you go to Pune or whether you decide to be in Thane, you are going to be there. The causes can constantly keep changing. Your minds change, your actions change, your decisions change, even the causal keeps changing. Okay? So even that is what you are not. Then what are you left with as I am? Only awareness. This self-evident awareness, what is a human problem? Due to a veil, we don't know its real nature, so what do? We connect it to what? Physical, subtle and the causal.
So will it be helpful to do ongoing inquiry?
Yes.
This is the point. Sometimes feeling comes up and not the subtle body.
See, this is very dangerous.
Yes.
It is extremely dangerous because this is one of the commonest problems that happens with Vedanta. In psychological term, it means dissociation. Okay? Dissociation means if I have sadness, okay, I say, oh, I am this awareness, I am not sadness. Okay? This is what leads to superficial learning of Vedanta. What did I first say in the first class? The sadness which is there is what? There is which is what? Your mind is projecting onto events something which is giving you sadness. Okay? Now a projecting mind, when it listens to Vedanta, cannot be objective. You need to first work on your emotions. Even though emotions are ultimately not I, you need to fix them first. That's a precondition. Okay? Even though the sadness is not I, you need to, because it's there at empirical level, you need to somehow fix the distortions which are leading to that sadness. You have a given way of looking at the world, which brings you that sadness. That mind which is distorting how one interacts with the universe with a certain orientation which itself is wrong. The same mind, when it listens to Vedanta which is so intricate, do you think it will be able to understand that?
So it's a first step.
It's a first step.
Step-by-step process.
Exactly.
It has to be cleansed first.
You have to, as I explained to you before, if you remember, right? The mithya is of two types, Vyavaharika and Pratibhasika. Okay? What is Vyavaharika mithya? Vyavaharika mithya is what? When there is a rope, I did not do.
No, this rope snake you did,
Yeah,
not terminology.
Okay, I did not do terminology. Okay, so the terminology now let us take. It is very important to understand Vedanta accurately, because otherwise your whole buddhi will just do some gymnastic to understand what you want to understand and not what Vedanta is talking about. Okay. Mithya is again of two types. One is what we call Vyavaharika and the other one is what we call Pratibhasika. I think I did it, but I may not have given the terminology.
What's the second one?
Pratibhasika.
Pratibhasika.
I didn't do it.
Just mentioned that rope snake, that's the analogy. You mentioned that.
Yeah,
mentioned
exactly. I did
but
mention
not
it.
the
Absolutely, I remember.
Not the terminology.
Not
Okay,
the
maybe not the
Divided
terminology.
down to that.
Wow, Rashna is very alert in the class. Wonderful. This is the mind one needs. Otherwise, every class I think I understand what is said 2 days ago is forgotten. So then how can I create a coherent picture? Because I don't even hold everything that is talked about. How will I use those different things to create a coherent picture? Retention is very important. Otherwise, it's all just little parts I understand here and there, right? But I don't understand the totality of it and the intricacy of it. Okay? So now, let's go back to the mithya itself is of two types. One is that this is a table, okay, which is a mithya, because why? It depends upon wood for its existence. Can I say that this table is something which is my imagination? Is it my imagination? Not at all, right? Not only Rashna sees this table, Uddhav also equally sees this table, and Savita also equally sees this table. Okay? So that is what we call an empirical reality. Okay? Which is what we call Vyavaharika Mithya. Mithya, yes, table is mithya, it has a dependent reality, but it is not something which is created by me. It is there and therefore I see it. Vyavaharika. Empirically true. Because it is empirically true, therefore, depending upon its width and length, I can decide how many things I can put on it. It has a function. Okay. Now, there is another type of dependent reality where if I'm, nowadays we are going, and let's say if you are walking on the forest, there is a forest road, okay, and it's a little bit dark after the class, and we are walking and we see there is a kind of a horizontal line, long little thing, right, and somebody comes running because somebody thinks that it is a snake. And then he says, oh my God, there is snake. So that means the person, what does the person see? A snake. And as a result of seeing the snake, there is a lot of fear. It's not just, I see the snake and therefore whatever. So I see the snake and I come running and there is a lot of fear. I'm panting because it's just too much. Okay. Now somebody else goes and puts the light. Somebody has mobile. So nowadays mobile has battery, this torch. So you have this torch and you look. Then you start laughing. No, I have so much fear and you are laughing. Because this other person says, actually, it's not a snake, it's a rope. Okay? So that means the snake that you see also has a dependent reality. Right? Because unless there was a rope, you will not see the snake. Okay? So therefore, the snake that you see has a dependent reality because it depends upon what? The rope. Okay? Can you say the snake is also empirical? Is it like this table that everybody sees? No. Right? It is your own projection, your own coloring. Right? So that means your own coloring is what? There is an empirical reality which is the rope. On that empirical reality, you are further projecting something which is a snake and it is giving you a lot of fear. Okay, so now your mind is totally preoccupied with the perception of snake and the fear that stems from the perception of the snake. And what is Vedanta talking about? Yes, Vedanta is talking about the rope. Exactly. It's talking about that this rope that you see and you think is so real is not as real look at it, right? It is nothing but atoms and particles, and then itself is what? Dependent upon all knowledge, and then there is what? Awareness behind it. Okay? So that means the starting point of Vedanta is the rope. Okay? And where you are operating from is the snake and the fears of the snake. There is no match between what you are thinking about and what Vedanta is talking about. Now, imagine with all these distortion, okay, without bringing your perception from snake to rope, you try to understand the final reality. You will create a mess. Because you will continue to think that it is a snake, and then there is this fear, and then you will deny that fear by saying there is this awareness. You will keep your distortion going, and you will justify those distortions, right? Bringing in what? The final reality inappropriately, not to deal with your emotions. Please understand, this is one of the most common problems that people have when they study Vedanta. And this is what I was saying, that if you want Vedanta to work for you, you have to change your perception first from snake to rope, then Vedanta will work for you. You can't bypass this process of what? Reducing your personal projections and coming to see the world as it is, have proper interaction with the world, and only then one step further about this empirical world, which is what? The final reality will work for you. There is no shortcut here. There is absolutely no shortcut here. If you try to bypass this process of emotional growth and just use the vision of Vedanta to just negate everything as mithya, you will do yourself a great disservice, because you will get nowhere. You will just blindly, stupidly repeating I am the whole without understanding anything. You will be just creating some kind of a fantasy world of your own, not at all understanding what Vedanta is talking about. I kept telling you in the first class, there is no way healthy psychology becomes the foundation on which Vedanta can stay. You have to reduce your subjectivity and come to more or less in terms with what is empirically there. Because Vedanta starts with that empirical level. Questioning that empirical, and it shows you what? Something which is paramarthika. Paramarthika is the absolute. It takes you from mithya to satyam. Satyam is paramarthika. But the order goes that in order for you to reach paramarthika, you need to first do what? Reduce your pratibhasika and come to vyavaharika. Once you come to vyavaharika, then what? Paramarthika will work for you.
So a person who would be that projecting mind would be someone who would see that snake and say, okay, I'm going to analyze it, bring it down to the molecular level and bring it down to say all knowledge. But really the wrong way of handling that?
Yeah, exactly.
Something like
yes,
that.
Yes, exactly. You want to
bring it down.
Yeah, because the point is this snake, but actually there is rope. So that means you are missing the point completely. The operation is not handled accurately. So it is done to kind of give, that fear, the fear can go because you first have to see the rope, right? But you are trying to keep the vision of snake and then try to get rid of fear by saying, oh, this final reality is free from that. That doesn't happen.
You can't bypass the emotion.
You can't bypass the emotion. You cannot. You have to clean it exactly.
Intelligence.
That means all knowledge, Iswara will keep it a secret for you until what? You have done that process of what? More or less what we call Antahkarana Shuddhi. Antahkarana Shuddhi means the mind which is going to receive this knowledge has to be what? Made more or less objective and relatively bigger with proper values, with that so-called bigness. This whole process of this Mandukya that we saw, right? We talked about the fact that I think that I am this little physical entity and the whole world is external. Why did Mandukya say that this little entity is part of one system which is Virat? Why? Bring in everything that we have learned so that you change your perception. You don't see yourself as somebody who's external to this system. You are part of that. Right? When you see yourself as part of that, what? Your whole interaction with that physical world will change. Because now you will see that when you hurt somebody, through your actions or through your words or through your deeds or by being inadvertent about what you talk about that person, you are disturbing the whole ecology. And you have to be then what? You have to pay for it. There is a price to it. As long as you are caught in all of that, where is the question of your understanding the final reality? You need to fix your distortions there first. Change the way you are, become bigger, follow values, become from consumer to a contributor. All this needs to be taken care of. You need to become a deserving person so that you can hold this vision of limitlessness accurately. It doesn't just happen. And this is why all knowledge will keep it a secret for you until that process is over. You'll never get it.
And in that you need to become a deserving person.
Deserving person. And that is done through your own effort. Your own effort towards your personal growth.
So I go one step back, the inquiry, and I can also do with the thoughts coming up. I know I'm not the thoughts. Same problem?
It's the same problem because it is true that inquiry is valid, right?
Yes,
it is valid. There is some validity, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It is valid, but that inquiry requires for you to make it complete. It requires 2 steps, okay? First step is, it is true that the emotion is not I. What Carl says is absolutely true. Okay? Emotion is not I is a fact. Okay? But within emotion, there are 2 different categories. One is a distorted emotion and the other one is a healthy emotion. Okay? So my first job is to what? Change from distorted to healthy. Then having changed it to healthy, then I can say, hey, even that emotion I am not. But I can't move from distorted emotion to this awareness. I have to move from distorted to healthy and healthy to then being free from it.
And if this step is done,
and this step is done, then the whole thing is done. Then it is valid. It is valid.
Mm-hmm.
You understand that?
Yes.
Yeah.
How can you change it distorted to healthy? That is not.
So that means if there is fear, and we will see in Gita class this evening. Okay? There is fear means what? There is a lot of coloring. That your whole personality is what? Like I think yesterday Preeti was saying, some of the most illegitimate emotions are fear. And in fact, how many of us carry number of fears within us which are totally illegitimate? Okay? So that means there is some way in which we are looking at the universe which is creating that fear. So I need to redo how I'm looking at it so that it doesn't produce fear. So that is what we say, that unhealthy, I'm converting into what? Healthy.
And maybe even healthy.
And then I say ultimately it's true that healthy emotion is again only an emotion. I am the awareness which is independent of even the emotion.
Stop identifying with it.
Stop. I mean, it's not even that you stop. It is not I. It is a reality. It's viewing of the reality. It is not you. You are much bigger than the emotion. But you can't move from a distorted emotion to the reality. You need to first fix it and then understand that you are much more than that. It's not a process of, oh, I'm identifying or I'm not identifying. It's never connected. That is the reality.
How we say any emotion is a part of life. It's not life. Any problem is a part of life, but we treat it as life, and then it becomes overwhelming. So that is how we have to train ourselves to look at it. Exactly. Problems are going to be there because we are not saints. We have not taken that path, so problems are going to be there.
Even for so-called saints, there are always problems, right? I mean, please don't think that, oh, don't create this dichotomy. Don't call yourself not a saint. Who decides who's a saint, who's not a saint? According to the vision of Vedanta, the person who comes to Vedanta, Shastra, is one of the most blessed person in this universe. Why are you depreciating yourself and saying, I'm not a saint? You are one of the most deserving persons. That's what brings you here.
And that would cause unhealthy emotion. That is really an unhealthy emotion. An unhealthy emotion when you think like this.
See, when you are self-depreciating, it is again something that you fall into this whole thing, right? Of that, oh, I don't deserve it, I'm not yet there. Hey, who says? Iswara, in the vision of Iswara, you are so blessed. When you actually come to Vedanta Shastra, it is almost like Iswara is telling you, come here, I will reveal to you that your nature and my nature is the same. Through a teacher. The teacher just does this job. So please consider yourself as one of the most blessed person. Please don't consider yourself as I'm not a saint.
Okay. Now coming back to my awareness question. I'm very sorry for it.
No, don't be sorry because it's very quiet.
I will continue till my last breath.
What? Okay. Now what will go? Subtle will go. Then you have to understand. The physical go, subtle will go. What will remain?
Causal will remain.
Causal will remain.
Yeah.
And what is the truth of the causal?
All knowledge.
And then what is the truth of that?
Awareness.
You got it right. The subtle and physical keep changing. The causal will give another subtle and physical.
And then that I am will continue.
Yes, I am is always, there is never a time that I am shifts. Because that I am, the awareness, is the truth of Ishvara. It's not only the truth of this, your one causal, it is the truth of all causal.
I was a little confused with, sorry, you were like first.
You do, I can hold my question.
Like there was, like we had first talked about awareness being, when he was chanting the mantra, there's a gap. So that gap is you are aware of one thought, then no thought, and then you're aware of another thought coming. So is that I am also because from a manifest is no and then again?
Yes.
So that is what is real.
Yes, exactly. And things will become what? Manifest and unmanifest. And those manifest and unmanifest includes what?
So that is called Sat. That's why
That is
Sat
Sat.
because it's the truth.
Exactly.
And Chit is because of the...
It is awareness.
Awareness.
Yes. Excellent, sure. Excellent. Right? That manifest and unmanifest you can apply to anything. You can apply to a thought. You can apply to the moment.
So even when there's nothing there,
And exactly when there is a resolution of the universe,
going.
still there is manifest and unmanifest. And that awareness is what? Among constant change between manifest and unmanifest at all levels, there is one awareness which is what? Behind all those changes. At physical, subtle and causal
And that's
level.
how you also prove that it's not dependent on other people.
Excellent. My God. Very
I was
good.
confused. I have to
Yes.
explain it.
That is wonderful. Perfect. Okay, now that is, we have gone way beyond our time. Okay. Carl, if you can hold your
I can
question.
hold on.
Okay.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, very good.
Very good question. Very good insight. Excellent insight. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.